He does talk about some of his violation of you in somewhat graphic terms.
Dirty Rotten Scandals, the Dr. Phil Show, Episode 1, Part 3. Now, this is all relegated to its own part because these two stories are really hard to watch, and considering what he did to these people, it's horrible. So, if you can't make it through this one, feel free to scroll. See you at the next one. That being said,
he went into detail about exactly what he had done to me, and I was reliving that trauma on a stage in front of an entire audience. They brought my brother out next. We had been separated for years. So I did confront him maybe a couple times, but I pretty much stayed quiet.
The thing to add insult to injury is there was no counseling at all because he can't be a counselor. At this point, he's fully just for entertainment purposes only, even according to the state of California. However, they have this girl listen to this just horrifying, traumatic thing. Why was this man even given a chance to speak? That is insane after what he did to her. Then they just end the show like this.
And then Dr. Phil kind of leans up like he's trying to crack a joke, and he goes, well,
I'd like to thank all of my guests today, and we'll see you next time.
Mom, stop.
Any men who are comfortable making that into a joke or having people on and not actually offering them any care, because you got to remember the releases, they're not giving anyone aftercare, even though they say they are. And on the few situations they did, it was like a wilderness camp. That was absolutely awful. We'll get to that in episode 2. That's a whole thing. But he ends it. There's no aftercare provided. And where her brother ended up makes a lot of sense. And any man who's going to platform a dude who's done that, yeah, I'm side-eyeing you, buddy. Maybe there's some things that we don't know, allegedly. Then they move on to another one that we had talked about in part 1, and she was pregnant, and a friend of hers literally tried to take her out so she could take the baby. She thought she was going on Dr. Phil, like a lot of these people do, to get help, to be spoken to, so that they could really figure something out. That is not what happened.
He immediately goes into, you had warning signs, though.
Now, you had an instinct and you ignored it, right?
Yes, I did.
Let me get this straight. The argument from the professional is that you should have expected that your friend wanted to forcibly remove that baby. Can someone get Mr. Phil a doctor, maybe?
He was like, this happened, yet you did this. This happened, but you did that.
So it rose to the level that you actually said it out loud.
Yes.
But yet you stayed home alone with her when your mother took the boys to football practice.
And I'm like, yeah, but that's not. And then he's like, wait, hold on. But then this happened. And I'm like, you're not letting me talk. How do you really ask somebody, like, hey, are you trying to kill me?
That's how nice you are. If the conversation has gotten to the point where that question is part of the dialogue, then it's time for them to go home.
When the audience and him laughed, that broke me. Felt like he was blaming me. And then all of a sudden, he brings out this book.
I wrote this book about people like you.
She left feeling humiliated and like it was her fault, which, oh my gosh. But, you know, the thing about Mr. Phil is that we don't want to downgrade him because he does have a lot of education. He does have a PhD, even if he doesn't have an active medical license. Now, with all of this, I don't think it was an oopsie. I don't think it was an accident. I think he was intentionally doing this because he knew he could get away with it without not even one person stopping and being like, whoa, you're taking this person's horrific experience to sell a book? But again, every episode is an infomercial. So of course he was. Then we go back to the young lady whose brother had gone after her and what happened in the aftermath and where he is now. Spoiler, it's jail.
It was a night where my brother's interview just kept playing in my head, and I decided that I didn't want to be here anymore because I knew that that was going to air on national television. Took 30 pain pills. I fell on the floor and I had a seizure, and then I was taken to the hospital after that. I don't remember a lot. I was really out of it. Family was still broken, honestly, way more than we were before we went on the show. They throw you out there, they send you home, and you never speak to them again. I was put in a psychiatric facility for a little bit. My mom declined mentally and physically. She's in a nursing home now. I don't see my dad ever. And my brother is in prison. He got 5 years for possession of child porn.
This impacts her so deeply that I'm glad she's still here, because what he did, he knows what he did though. That's the thing. Mr. Phil, again, has the training and education to know what he did. And they lie about providing aftercare. They don't provide aftercare, but they act like they do, which is absolutely ridiculous. One of the people who was in this says, I hope Dr. Phil knows what he did. And very likely he does understand exactly what he did, but I do not think he has the conscience to care. I will see you Monday, where we're going to start episode 2, and it's all downhill from here. So yeah, I'll see you then.